All right, everybody. Greetings once again for what is day, I guess I'll call it 0+2 of pre-staging this aircraft for the Bush League Legends, the Journey run around the world. I am going to go ahead and get right to it and start taking off. And we'll talk about more in the, ooh, squirrely. Hold on one second. Wind was a little much on the ground. Okay. Yeah, 24 knot tailwind. I'm surprised it had me line up on that runway, but that's okay. Anyway, if you saw the video from yesterday when I went from KEPP to KGTF, I had a crash at the end of that, and I was trying to decide what to do about that, if anything. And so there is a penalty. I decided to keep going, so I learned a lot from that crash, and I think that's what the Bush League Legends guys are doing as well. They're not actually going back and repeating legs, but I rushed the landing a little bit. It had been, the flight was way more exciting than anticipated, so the landing got rushed. I was coming in way too fast. I'm still not used to these tail draggers, and that was the first time I landed in this kind of first person inside the cabin mode, and so I didn't have as much visual information as I usually do. So I think in the future, at least till I get more of the hang of it, especially since I'm still playing with a Xbox controller, so eventually I'll have rudder pedals and the whole deal. But until then, I'm going to land, I think, in third person outside view. So that begs the question, what is the penalty? You might have seen a quick hint at it earlier, but the penalty is flying this livery, which I actually kind of like, but I guess you're not supposed to like it. But this is called Barn Find. So this is my junker plane, still being fixed up from my little mishap. Oh man, they almost look like they modeled the hot exhaust there for a second. That's cool. So where are we headed? Today is headed from Great Falls out to Bismarck, North Dakota. So another hopefully short hop. I did one correction from the videos yesterday. I was looking at this like it was 4 hours, and I was very confused. That is because it is the time to the next waypoint. So I again have planned out everything in little nav map. I loaded that flight plan in, but you can see here I only have 6.3 nautical miles to my next waypoint, and that is what this time is all about. So 3 minutes to that waypoint. So our safe height for actually the entire trip is 7,000 feet. I set that before we took off, and we are leveling off there now. So I'm going to let that level off, go over here and start to get us set up just for a nice cruise. This is basically, these points are basically as far as you want to go on one tank of fuel, or full fuel. I only filled the mains, so I have 24.5 gallons in each side. And that is it. So we will cruise along. I'm going to do the same thing I did yesterday. We should clear those mountains no problem. As soon as I make sure, let's see, let's look at our mixture. Pop this out. RPMs are pretty stable. So let's leave it right there. So I can tell from looking at little nav map that we have 429 nautical miles to go. So 429, our current ground speed is 115 knots. So that puts us in about 3 hours and 45 minutes. And if we're burning 7 gallons an hour, that puts us at 26 gallons of fuel used. So we should have plenty. Might not even land with 50% fuel left, which begs the question why the range rings are so off on the planning page. So maybe we keep going past that. We'll see. Trying to make up a lot of ground. So just Ken, who you saw come and visit me yesterday, is already ahead of me. He has flown from his airport to First Flight Airport, and we intend to do as much of this together as we can. And right now I'm just playing catch up. So in the interest of not boring him to death, I may just press and let this fly as far as I can today, and then see if I can catch up with him. So that's it. I will go into the outside view again here, so we have something pretty to look at, and we'll let the scenery scroll by, and I will see you on the other side for hopefully a good landing this time. Oh, one other thing, flaps. I'm not going to fall for that again. So last time, if you were a very astute observer, you would see that I forgot to put my flaps in until about 1/4 through the flight. So I was perfect with that during the cannonball run. That's twice in a row now that I've gotten distracted and not put my flaps in on takeoff. So I have to figure out what's going on there. But that's it for now. I'll stop yapping at you, and we will take this thing cross country. Here we go. All right, so we are past our top of descent. I've been in flight about 3 hours, and I'm going to, you might have seen me messing with the Garmin there. I was trying to get lined up setting an approach to runway 31, and it was not quite working, so I will do a little bit of kind of manual flying. I think we want to be getting lower, so let's see, what altitude is this airport at? I'm messing up my flight plan here. Elevation 1,600 feet for Bismarck Municipal, so we are quite a bit high right now. So let's... Oh, I don't have any autopilot at all. Our autopilot is no longer in the mood to work. No problem. Look at that, simulating a failure. Well, I guess we will turn autopilot off, and we'll see if we can turn it back on and fix it. Apparently not. Alright, we're just going to turn it off. Try one last time just to do... Just try heading hold. There, that works. So we will start descending. Go ahead and go idle throttle, and we'll just descend down. Hopefully, actually it looks like it's trying to keep... Actually, I may have lost. So that's interesting. On this display, I lost altitude, like everything froze up. So, well, these are non-functional, so let's do something silly. Turn all the avionics off. The plane will still fly because it's got magnetos, so we're still going to generate a spark, and we'll go ahead and turn that back on, and that is still frozen. So we are going to fly with all our alternate avionics here. Kind of exciting to have a failure. I guess I was messing with the systems a little too much, trying to get those flight plans in. That's something, the Garmin stuff, unfortunately, in the flight sim is pretty buggy. So it's not too surprising. Need to move my water bottle out of the way. So, airport should be coming into view. I think it's behind that behind that bar in the window there. Right, airport, where you at? Coming down here. So we do have a backup compass. We're headed roughly east. That is good. Just so we can reduce some variables. Let's look at our fuel. All right, fuel is about even, so we don't need to worry about our fuel switch anymore. And we'll go ahead and make a turn. So we're going to land on 3-1. Should set us up roughly to cross over. Oh, now I see the runway off in the distance there. Alright, so we'll just keep coming down a little bit. Get down about 3,000 feet and level off. Broke the Garmin. Very interesting. Still headed about, is that 55 degrees or so? So the reason I started all of this is while I was flying, I had the realization that one of the things I probably did wrong on my last landing, especially with a tail dragger, is I think I landed with like a 30 knot tailwind, which is really bad and would have made it very hard to control. So that I think accounted for how just incredibly hard it was to control the direction of the plane once I got on the ground. So taking that into account, I've been flying with a pretty good headwind, or pretty good tailwind, excuse me, this whole flight. And so I started thinking, well, I really need to get better about planning the specific runway I'm going to use based on the wind. So that's what I'm doing now, kind of going out of my way. There's the runway over there in the distance. Kind of going out of my way to line up with the wind coming straight on as I'm landing. And that should make it much easier. That'll also decrease the ground speed. So if you're, for example, if you're trying to land at 60 knots airspeed and you have a 30 knot headwind, your ground speed is actually only going to be 30 knots by the time you touch down. So much more controllable, much more doable. So now we are cruising along right at 3,000 feet where we want to be. Hand flying since we lost all of our avionics. Can still see the airport over there, so we're going to keep going a little bit to get lined up. Adjusted our altimeter, we're slightly below where we want to be, so we'll climb out just a little. Alright, back up at 3,000. And we can actually go to more of a cruise power setting. Alright, let's start our turn towards the airport. You can see the runway there in the distance. Still not quite perfectly lined up on it, so we'll end our turn here a little early. Now we should be flying straight into a headwind here. Looks like it's still showing a tailwind. I don't know if the wind is just goofy in the game or what. Yeah, it's showing 29 knot headwind. Or sorry, tailwind. Which is a little weird. So ground speed of 146. Airspeed of 110. Wondering if that's just the avionics not quite displaying it the way we expect. Yeah, because I'm looking at little, I think maybe this is frozen or broken. This is probably frozen, because I'm looking at little nav map and it is telling me my ground speed right now is 90 knots, which is a lot, which makes a lot more sense. So definitely going with that. So I am into the headwind. These displays are just all frozen. So we'll ignore that. So we'll just keep pointed at the runway and keep getting down here. Something is not happy. Don't think it would be a fuel imbalance. 15. Maybe. Pull that out. Alright, it was pitot heat. Close enough now. We'll turn our landing lights on. So 4 miles out. Got our little doggy co-pilot that has joined us for the finale here. At least for this leg. And set the RPMs to full just in case we have to abort. Let's check our trim real quick. Reset that a little bit. There we go. Alright, I got 4 whites, now 1 red, 2 white, there we go. Now we're on the glide slope again. So, I said I was going to do this in third person mode, and I will, until I get the hang of it more. A little low, swooping in over this, what looks like a golf course, but It's okay. Ground speed down to 80 knots. Do our first level of flaps out. That was the other mistake last time, is just not getting slow enough. So we'll put more flaps out. Still coming in a little low, but we're going to hover over the runway here for a little bit. Put our last bit of flaps out. And kill power. There we go. Ooh, 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 a little squirrely again. There we go. That was much better than last time. So let's go over here and get off the runway. All right, we made it. Go ahead and put the flaps in. So that was still a little squirrely, but I think better decision to land into the wind, like you should in real life. Guess if I wanted to be good about it, I would be taxiing down the middle here. So, but completed that landing. I can go back to my, oh, that's funny, it's coming off the ground a little bit. Let's actually go over here, go park over here. This will be as good as any place. Park next to the tower. Alright, parking brake on. That'll do it for this one. Not sure what happened there with the Garmin, but we made it in despite that failure. And we will go turn everything off. And that's the flight. So 3 hours, 16 minutes, not too bad. This is a fuel stop, so I will refuel and start the next leg next time. And that is it. So I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for flying along. And I'm glad I didn't crash this time. Talk to you next time.